Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff I Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio.
And we are continuing our journey in celebrating Pride here in the U.S., but we are talking about an activist, advocate, model, writer, and so much more from the UK, Yasmin Benoit. And yes, obviously, this is activists around the world, if you didn't know. Ta-da! So Benoit started to gain attention for her activism around 2017, wanting to bring in attention and awareness to aromantic and asexual people. And you know, we love talking about aromantic, asexual people because we have one. You, I have you.
Yes.
Benoit became vocal about different misconceptions and misinformation around her sexuality. So she talks about her figuring out her sexuality and the difficulties she had to navigate in her asexuality, as well as teaching others how to look beyond those misconceptions. And here's something from her article in British Vogue. Yes, she did write this because, again, she's a writer. There is a phase in our lives when everyone seems asexual and almost everyone seems aromantic. It wasn't until puberty kicked in that platonic relationships seemed to take a back seat. My peers stopped wanting to play together and started wanting to date each other. That was when I started to realize that there was something different about me. I didn't seem to be experiencing the same urges as those around me. I chose to go to an all-girls school in the hopes that, in the absence of boys, everyone would stop caring about sex and dating. It actually had the opposite effect. There was a sense of deprivation in the air and the heightened desire to project sexuality into anything and everything. And she continues, having a sexual orientation isn't just natural, it's essential. It's part of being a fully functional human being. And to romantically love and be loved by another person is the ultimate goal. It's part of being normal, which made me both abnormal and puzzling. When you're asexual, people think there's something wrong with your body. When you're aromantic, they think there's something wrong with your soul. So as she was navigating these times, it was more difficult than she realized. So in that article, she expresses her fear of not being normal and being told that her reactions and lack of sexual wants were wrong. She goes on to talk about how people analyzed her and she felt even more isolated and as if there was something wrong with her.
From that same British Vogue article, quote, it was suggested that I was suffering from my issues because I was socially anxious and insecure. The suggestion that my issue was pathological stayed with me for a long time, but not as much as the widely accepted theory that I was mentally slow. Unfortunately, that one stuck. I was referred to as stupid, and I started to believe that was the case. It would impact my experience in education for the next 8 years, long after I realized that there was a word for what I was, asexual.
Right. And she has done a lot of research, and that was just the beginning. Again, she didn't stop there. She created the hashtag, "This is what asexual looks like." And she began modeling at age 16, which often made people question her asexuality. In fact, it was after her gig as an asexual lingerie model, which she still is, that led her to the hashtag, and also her experience in an appearance for a BBC Three documentary about asexuality, which she actually didn't like and felt that it was a misrepresentation of asexuality. And here's what she told magazine.ucl.ac.uk. It was her school, by the way. I knew I was asexual at a young age and tried to learn more about it as a teenager in the early 2010s, but not many people were talking about it. Fast forward to 2017, at which point I was modeling more, which meant I was spending more time on social media, and I realized that the landscape hadn't changed much at all. Despite conversations having opened up about other LGBTQIA+ identities, there's still little discussion of asexuality or representation of asexuality in the media. I thought, quote, why not throw my perspective in the mix? And publicly came out on National Coming Out Day 2017. People cared about this more than I expected. Suddenly, I was doing interviews, appearing in documentaries, and speaking at events.
And then she understood how her words and her work were so important for asexual representation. She goes on to talk about the spectrum of asexuality and even how she felt this was an opportunity to use her platform to dispel the misinformation and to show a different type of representation. From the British Vogue article, quote, it gave me the opportunity to encounter a range of asexual and aromantic people offline. It was then that I learned the significance of having an aromantic identity. There are many asexual people who still feel romantic attraction, as well as aromantic people who still feel sexual attraction. They have their own range of experiences, their own culture, their own flag, and like the asexual community, I was relieved to see that they are just normal people. These intersecting communities are not stereotypes. They aren't just 13-year-old pink-haired kids making up identities on Tumblr to feel special. They were parents, lawyers, academics, husbands, girlfriends, artists, Black, white, young, old, with differing feelings towards the many complex elements of sexuality and intimacy. Most importantly, they were happy.
And as she has continued to advocate for her community, she has collaborated with different organizations to bring more awareness, including working with Stonewall Charity for queer rights. So again, from magazine.ucl.ac.uk. She goes on to talk about her work with Stonewall, which was titled The Stonewall with Yasmin Benoit ACE Project. So it is, quote, the Stonewall with Yasmin Benoit ACE Project, which began in 2022. We realized that before we could begin campaigning for change, we needed people to understand more about asexuality and the issues we want to tackle. So the first phase of the project was to produce a report.
And they did publish that report in 2023. Here's some of the things they have been able to find. Quote, we found that asexual people face discrimination in many aspects of their lives and that the community needs better legal protections. A key finding was the poor experience many asexual people have in the workplace. Half of ace people aren't out at work, and many that are often experience intrusive questions or harassment. We also found that many ace people have poor experiences in healthcare settings where their asexuality is often inappropriately labeled a mental health condition. Our report calls for the World Health Organization to end its classification of asexuality as a mental health condition, as it has previously done for homosexuality and transgender health. We're also calling for asexual people to be provided with protections under the Equality Act and for a ban on conversion therapy.
Right. Obviously, they've been working to get this research into the right hands, as well as bring attention to it through educational avenues, such as going through colleges and obviously publishing within their articles, and even through the NHS. So she is obviously still working on this. They are still working on that, and she is far from being done with any of this work. She's currently working at the King's College London's Policy Institute as a visiting research fellow, as well as she just co-authored, I believe, in February, a new report concerning public attitude towards asexuality, which is really important, obviously. And yes, she is quite busy with her work, and she has been recognized for this work. From her website, yasminbenoit.co.uk, Yasmin has won an Attitude Pride Award for her activism, making her the first openly aromantic asexual activist to win an LGBTQ+ award. She later won a Campaigner Influencer of the Year at the Rainbow Honors and became a celebrity ambassador for the Prince's Trust. And she's become the first asexual person to appear on the cover of Attitude magazine. So obviously doing a lot of great work out there. You should definitely go look at her site because she has all of her articles in there. And it's all so amazing, as well as where she can be found, or if you want to follow her on all the social medias, which you should.
Yes, absolutely. And as always, listeners, if you have any suggestions for this segment, please let us know. You can email us at hello@stuffmonevertoldyou.com. You can find us on Blue Sky at Mom Stuff Podcast, or on Instagram and TikTok at Stuff One Never Told You. We're also on YouTube. We have a TeePublic store, and we have a book you can get wherever you get your books. Thanks as always to our super producer Christina, our executive producer Maya, and our contributor Joey.
Thank you.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff One Never Told You is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.